Welcome, dear listeners, to History with Herodotus, where we embark on a journey through the ages, unraveling the mysteries of our collective past. Today, we set sail for the unforgiving yet majestic landscapes of Northern Europe to explore the fascinating tale of the Vikings, from raiders to settlers. This is a story of transformation, of a people who evolved from fierce warriors to skilled traders and settlers, driven by a mix of motivations, including economic gain, territorial expansion, and cultural exchange. As we delve into the earliest history of the Vikings, from raiders to settlers, we find ourselves in the midst of the 8th century, a time when the Scandinavian region was undergoing significant changes. The Viking Age, which spanned from approximately 793 to Anno 66, was marked by the emergence of powerful chieftains, the development of complex societies, and the expansion of trade networks. It was during this period that the Vikings began to venture forth from their homelands, driven by a thirst for riches, knowledge, and new lands to call their own. One of the key figures in the early history of the Vikings, from raiders to settlers, is the legendary Danish king Sigfrid, who ruled from around 770 to 804. King Sigfrid's reign marked the beginning of a new era in Scandinavian politics, as he sought to consolidate power and expand his kingdom through strategic alliances and military campaigns. His court, located in the town of Hedeby in present-day Denmark, was a hub of activity, attracting merchants, traders, and warriors from across Europe. The Viking settlements of this period, such as Birka in Sweden and Kaupang in Norway, were thriving centers of trade and commerce, where craftsmen, traders, and sailors interacted and exchanged goods, ideas, and stories. These towns were strategically located near major waterways, allowing for easy access to the Baltic Sea and the North Atlantic. The Vikings' love of storytelling and poetry was already evident, as they wove intricate tales of gods and goddesses, heroes and monsters, which would later be recorded in the Icelandic sagas. The Scandinavian landscape, with its dense forests, snow-capped mountains, and rocky coastlines, was both unforgiving and inspiring, shaping the Vikings' worldview and informing their mythology. The harsh climate and limited resources of the region forced the Vikings to be resourceful and adaptable, skills that would serve them well as they ventured forth into the wider world. The Vikings' earliest raids, such as the attack on Lindisfarne in 793, were likely motivated by a desire for plunder and resources, but also reflected a deeper desire to explore and understand the world beyond their Scandinavian homeland. The historical context of the Viking Age was marked by significant events, including the fall of the Western Roman Empire and the rise of the Carolingian dynasty. The Vikings' expansion into Europe was facilitated by the weaknesses of the Frankish kingdoms and the opportunities presented by the trade networks of the Mediterranean. This was an era marked by significant cultural, economic, and territorial achievements, as the Vikings ventured forth from their homelands, driven by a mix of motivations, including economic gain, territorial expansion, and cultural exchange. One of the most notable figures of this period is the legendary Viking warrior and leader, Ivar the Boneless, who played a crucial role in the great heathen army's conquests of England. Ivar's campaigns, which took place from around 865 to 878, were marked by their brutality and strategic brilliance, as he sought to expand Viking control over the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. The Viking settlements of this period, such as York in England, Dublin in Ireland, and Rouen in France, were thriving centers of trade and commerce, where craftsmen, traders, and sailors interacted and exchanged goods, ideas, and stories. These towns were strategically located near major waterways, allowing for easy access to the North Sea, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Mediterranean. The Vikings' raids and conquests, such as the attack on Paris in 845, were likely motivated by a desire for plunder and resources, but also reflected a deeper desire to explore and understand the world beyond their Scandinavian homeland. The historical context of this period was marked by significant events, including the rise of the Carolingian dynasty and the weakening of the Frankish kingdoms. The Vikings' expansion into Europe was facilitated by the opportunities presented by the trade networks of the Mediterranean and the weaknesses of the European societies they encountered. Egil's story, as recorded in the Icelandic saga, provides a fascinating glimpse into the complexities of Viking culture and society during this period. We witness the exchange of goods, ideas, and stories, as well as the conflicts and power struggles that shaped the course of European history. The Viking Golden Age was also marked by significant cultural achievements, including the development of intricate metalwork, such as the famous Oseberg ship burial, and the creation of elaborate stone carvings, such as those found at the Broa Cemetery in Sweden. These cultural achievements reflect the Vikings' deep connection to their mythology and their natural environment. We then navigated the uncharted waters of the 9th century, a period often referred to as the Viking Golden Age, marked by significant cultural, economic, and territorial achievements. The Vikings faced new challenges and opportunities, from the rise of the Christian Church to the emergence of powerful kingdoms in Scandinavia. This era marks the beginning of the end of the Viking Age as we know it, but also lays the groundwork for the medieval societies that will follow. One of the most significant events of this period is the conversion of the Vikings to Christianity. The process begins in the early 10th century with the baptism of the Danish king Harald Bluetooth and continues throughout the region over the next several centuries. This conversion has a profound impact on Viking culture and society as they begin to adopt Christian practices, values, and institutions. The rise of powerful kingdoms in Scandinavia is another key development during this period. The kingdoms of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden begin to take shape, with rulers like Harald Hardrada of Norway and Svein Forkbeard of Denmark playing important roles in shaping the course of Viking history. These kingdoms will eventually become the dominant powers in the region, marking the end of the Viking Age and the beginning of a new era. The Viking settlements and trading networks continue to thrive during this period, with towns like Hedeby in Denmark, Birka in Sweden, and Kaupang in Norway becoming major centers of commerce and culture. The Vikings also maintained their connections with other European societies, including the Franks, the Anglo-Saxons, and the Celts, engaging in trade, diplomacy, and conflict. This identity is reflected in the literature and art of the time, including the Icelandic sagas, which provide a fascinating glimpse into the complexities of Viking culture and society during this period. This event marks one of the most significant achievements of the Viking Age, demonstrating the Vikings' continued spirit of exploration and discovery. The Vikings, once seen as mere raiders and pillagers, emerge as a sophisticated and dynamic people, capable of great cultural, economic, and territorial achievements. Their legacy continues to shape our world today, from the languages we speak to the institutions we inhabit. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.